As you've heard, drug kingpin Ismael, Elmo Zambada Garcia, also known as Elmo, has confessed to a lifetime of crime in service to the Sinaloa Cartel, the largest drug trafficking organization in the world. For decades, the Sinaloa Cartel under Elmo's leadership made billions of dollars. This is a historic day. Elmo operated with impunity at the highest levels of the Mexican drug trafficking world, leading a sprawling criminal enterprise that distributed more than 1.5 million kilograms of cocaine in addition to other drugs. His partner was El Chapo. They were co-founders of the Sinaloa Cartel. He controlled corrupt officials and officers who protected his workers and his drug shipments. They used military-grade weapons and directed hitmen to kill their adversaries. They committed gruesome assassinations, kidnappings, and other horrible crimes to maintain discipline within their own organization. In the summer of 2024, a new war broke out after the capture of Elmo, causing the cartel to fracture after a major betrayal. This time, it is Elmo's heirs opposing those of El Chapo, each mobilizing their respective networks and alliances in the conflict. Two rival factions emerge, nicknamed Maitza and Chapita, or more simply, the Mayos versus the Chapitos. From that moment on, Sinaloa, and especially its capital, Culiacan, a city of around 1 million inhabitants, become a true war zone. This conflict claims the lives of nearly 2,000 people in less than a year, while more than 5 people are kidnapped each day. The Mexican army deploys reinforcements from across the country in an effort to regain control of Culiacan and other cities affected by the fighting. Since the start of this offensive, the city has become a lawless zone where no one dares to go out at night for fear of being targeted, effectively creating a curfew. Even with authorities present on the ground, nothing seems able to curb the violence. Both factions have no shortage of recruits ready to join their ranks. The financial stakes are too high, and the conflict has already crossed a point of no return. We were sometimes told we were chasing shadows, legends of men who believed they were untouchable. One of those men was Elmo. Elmo will spend the rest of his life behind bars. He will die in a U.S. federal prison where he belongs. After building his empire for more than 4 decades, Elmo undeniably became Mexico's shadow godfather. With a fortune estimated at several tens of billions of dollars, he has already faced this type of violence, similar to what now ravages Sinaloa. Through his lawyer, he sends a message calling for a ceasefire. Nothing is gained by bloodshed. It only deepens wounds and prolongs suffering. Despite this call for calm, Elmo's words are unlikely to be enough to halt the bloodshed. The situation is already out of control. While the heirs of the 2 dynasties fight each other, other cartels are taking advantage of this unique opportunity. Sensing the weakness of the rival factions, they are either attempting to seize Sinaloa territories directly or forge strategic alliances with one of the sides. The stakes are enormous. Sinaloa represents the epicenter of Mexican drug trafficking. This strategic region is home not only to the main production areas, but also the crucial infrastructure for processing and transporting drugs to the U.S. market. Whoever controls Sinaloa controls the market. The conflict has now spread beyond Sinaloa's borders. Groups affiliated with both sides are reorganizing across Mexico, each seeking to consolidate its position. Sinaloa Cartel may think that they are powerful and mighty, but rest assured, we are all up here because we have one goal in mind, and that is the destruction of the Sinaloa Cartel. Despite the arrest of its most emblematic leaders, the Sinaloa Cartel remains the most powerful network in the American continent. The organization I led promoted corruption in my home country by paying police officers, military commanders, and politicians who allowed us to operate freely. It goes back to the very beginning when I was a young man starting out, and it continued for all those years. To understand how Elmo, El Chapo, and their associates built this empire, which operates in at least 40 countries as of 2025, we must trace the history, the networks, and the strategies that sustained it. We need to go back to its origins. Sinaloa is not just a Mexican state. It is the cradle of the country's most powerful drug lords. Amado, the fearsome leader of the Juarez cartel, was born in Sinaloa. Benjamin, who led the Tijuana cartel, also came from there. Even the famous Guadalajara cartel, despite its name, was almost entirely led by men from Sinaloa. This unique region, wedged between the Pacific Ocean and the impressive mountains of the Sierra Madre Occidental, plays the same role for Mexican trafficking as Sicily does for the Italian mafia. It is here that future kingpins take their first steps. The deeper you go into these mountains, the more you enter a true no man's land. A gray area perfectly suited to become the heart of a drug empire. In this forgotten territory, far from prying eyes, trafficking is not just a business. It is a way of life. It all begins with the poppy. This small, seemingly innocent flower is a treasure that Sinaloans quickly learn to exploit. Opium, once processed, becomes the highly coveted heroin in the United States. But these men had a particular talent, adapting to the demands of the market. When demand for marijuana surged in the 1960s among their American neighbors, they quickly changed course. Thousands of farmers were recruited for cultivation, and plantations expanded from the mountains of Sinaloa into the neighboring territories of Chihuahua and Durango. This region became so important that it earned a nickname that has now become part of legend: the Golden Triangle. The Golden Triangle is a difficult-to-access mountainous region straddling the states of Sinaloa, Chihuahua, and Durango in northern Mexico. The Golden Triangle is not just a simple territory. It is a natural fortress that defies any authority. For decades, these mountains have served as a refuge and operational base for numerous Mexican drug lords. Isolated from major cities, this region is practically cut off from the outside world. The Mexican state is almost invisible there. To grasp its vastness, imagine a territory twice the size of the Netherlands or 3 times the size of New Jersey, covering more than 23,000 square miles. According to a high-ranking Mexican official, even with a considerable army, it would be practically impossible to locate someone hiding in these mountains. When you walk through these mountain villages, the reality is glaring. These communities live in complete neglect. The state is absent. Only sturdy 4x4s can reach them, climbing for hours along rough dirt roads. In this near-total isolation, a parallel economy has naturally developed. With so few opportunities, what choice is there? People survive as best they can. For most families living below the poverty line, the drug trade is not a choice. It is their only means of survival. In the local mindset, narcos are not seen as criminals, but as protectors, those who create jobs where the state has failed. The economic disparity is striking. A few weeks of work for the Sinaloa bosses during the rainy season earns as much as a whole year of traditional farming. In this parallel economy, the Sinaloa kingpins offer something no one else does. They buy every harvest without exception. It is a level of security that farmers cannot find anywhere else. That is why 70% of Mexico's cannabis is grown in these 3 states. Children do not aspire to become lawyers or doctors, but narcos. It is the only model of success they see around them. 90% of the criminal organizations come from Sinaloa, the cradle of the biggest traffickers Mexico has ever known. That is where they are trained every day. A 15 or 16-year-old boy in Kaloa is already a killer, a gunman, a man. That is why they execute a 15-year-old. For them, it is a crime against a man.